Hello everyone, I am the Lore Explorer and this is Outer Wilds. Since the game releases soon on Steam, I figured this is a good time to make a video to help the new venturers traverse the solar system hassle-free. This video will not talk about the story of the game at all. I mostly talk about things the game doesn't tell you or isn't so obviously stated. Before we get into it, I do want to say, Outer Wilds is essentially one giant puzzle comprised of smaller puzzles. I will not be telling you how to solve them. That's the entire point of the game, and I don't want to take that satisfaction from you. What I do want is to give you a few tips and tricks to solve those puzzles yourself. We're going to start with a ship. Entering its startup and looking to the right, we see some blue lights. These aren't just for show. These are the lights to your computer, and apparently even aliens like RGB. On your journey, you will be learning a lot. Keeping it all organized in your head is almost impossible. So they give you a nice little organization system, containing all of the hints you've gotten, while you can also use it to pin locations you've already been to so you don't have to memorize an entire solar system. Next up is match velocity, and its uses. While flying the ship, the A or X button will prompt the ship to try and match the speed and direction of the planet or object you've selected. You can use this to reach small, fast-moving targets, since it allows you to inch in, which is useful while we're moving at like hundreds of meters per second. But you can also use it another way. The way I normally use it is when you are flying to a planet, you want to lock onto it first and check the distance. You're able to accelerate for about, or exactly, half of that distance, because you need to slow down the exact same amount as you sped up to try to land safely. So what I do is, when I hit halfway, instead of pulling back on the stick, I just hit match velocity. That way, the left joystick is open to maneuver any way you need to go, and your fingers are still free to do whatever you want to. To top it off, you can use it while you're using the landing cam, which is X on Xbox and square on the PlayStation controllers. While in landing cam mode, to the right of the screen is an altimeter. This just lets you know how close you are to the ground. You can use match velocity the right trigger to slowly ease down to the surface of the planet. Just in case you need it, holding down on the D-pad will let you look around freely in the cockpit, and if we look to the right, it reveals a button that has a cover on it. This button allows your entire cockpit to be ejected from the rest of the ship. If the ship gets dinged up and the reactor goes wibbly, it may just save your life. Try to maybe aim for a planet to get a safe landing and, not just drift out in space forever. The last thing you need to know about the ship is the autopilot is amazing, but you have to be careful. If the sun is in between you and your target, the ship will straight up chuck you into the sun. Another big thing in the game is the limited amount of oxygen and fuel the player character's spacesuit has. You're always going to be running low on both of those, but that's okay, because in your ship and all throughout the solar system are ways to refill these two things. Most conveniently, we can find small fuel tanks at every location we find and explore, and some have even left fuel tanks behind while they're going about doing their shenanigans. And there are a lot of trees all about that we can just easily refuel our oxygen with. We can also find a campfire at every, camp of the explorers from the Outer Wilds ventures, but these camps are actually pretty useful. For some reason, you have to die at least twice, but once you do, you can go to a campfire to sleep. This is not something you need to play the game, but you can do it. You can also roast a marshmallow at a campfire, which restores your health. Though the med pack in your ship does the same. I'll also say two things without giving it away directly. You can meditate in this game in order to essentially just die, though you don't start with it. I know that sounds strange, but it all makes sense once you play the game. Second is talk to all of the explorers, and don't be afraid to revisit them and talk to them again. They may have new things to say. You have a tool that is called the signal scope. It'll point you to a noise source anywhere in the solar system. When you get near that object, you need to pull out your signal scope again to scan it. It'll tell you if the unscanned object is nearby, but not really how to scan it. Then, you'll actually get the information about this object and pin its location. The last real thing we will talk about is the little scout and the scout launcher we carry around. It has many uses and they're not really explicitly told to us. If we go to our ship and grab our spacesuit, hidden beneath it are the instructions for our little scout. Hitting the right bumper will bring your scout out, and holding right bumper shoots it. The little poster tells us we can use it to illuminate places, see beyond the horizon by shooting it and using the D-pad to look around with the camera, and finally, you can use it to make sure your environment is safe, making sure there are no hazards around. I'm pretty sure you'd be able to finish this game if you didn't use one or two individual things on this list, maybe even all of them. Heck, you only ever have to talk to 2 people. This game is about as free as it can get. It doesn't tell you what to do, there's a mystery, just figure it out. Some general advice that I would give is you won't solve the game planet by planet, or even location by location. You'll often have to leave to explore elsewhere to find how to progress with what you're dealing with or stuck on. And it may seem counterintuitive, but be sure to take your time. The game is very unique, so I can't even explain why I have to say that. But no matter what happens, just be patient. You'll find the way if you keep at it. As a bonus tip, jumping before using your jetpack lets you get a little bit higher if you use all your fuel. And that's come in handy for me in a lot of situations. I really hope you enjoy your time with the Outer Wilds. It may frustrate you at times, but it's definitely worth putting your time into. Plus, now that you've watched this video, hopefully you won't be as frustrated as those who say never realized their ship's computer is functional, or they had one to begin with. So this is the Lore Explorer, hoping you come back to the channel after you finish this game, because I do have a lot of content covering it, but I genuinely don't think you should watch it until you've beaten the game and experienced it yourself. So thanks for watching, and I really do hope you enjoy the game.